Welcome to Reread. Today I'm on book 1 of the Corellian Trilogy, and this is from Roger McBride Allen. The first book is Ambush at Corellia. There's a lot to talk about here. Leia has thoughts that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru just posed as relatives for Luke. Now, I never remember her thinking that, but at the very beginning of the book, she's thinking, you know what, they probably weren't ever family. Well, yeah, they were kind of stepbrothers, or Uncle Owen was his stepbrother. So in a way, they're kind of related, but that was a weird thing to say, I think, for Leia. And I can't remember what brought it up, but I remember her saying that and going, huh. Now, it starts off where Han and Leia are going on a trip to Corellia, and Luke gives Leia a present. It's a lightsaber, a red lightsaber. I had to read that twice when I saw it. I was like, wait, she flicked on it was red. Why would he do that? I guess red didn't mean Sith back then. But he gives her a red one saying she knows she didn't have time to construct her own, but she's a Jedi as far as he's concerned. He had a talk with Mon Mothma before that. Mon Mothma's talking about, hey, you know, she may not be strong in the Force, but you're not strong in political. And you can be. You can be just as good as Leia was if you would, you know, work harder at it. And it kind of puts things in perspective to say, yeah, Leia hasn't had all the time in the world to get, you know, to have as much power in the Force as me, but she's earned the right to be a Jedi Knight. So he gives it to her. They have a little duel. She has been practicing her lightsaber skills. And I remember this. She beats Luke. She kind of tricks him, surprises him, and kicks the lightsaber out of his hand and gets the upper hand for a minute. And he's not embarrassed. In fact, when he looks over, he sees the kids with their mouths open because they respect Uncle Luke. You know, so that Mom beat Uncle Luke in a battle. He said, you know what? Actually, this was a good lesson here. And about the kids, there's more about Jason, Jaina, and Anakin in this trilogy than I remembered here. There's a lot of adventures with them together. At first, they're trying to put together, Anakin's trying to put together a droid to do their chores. And the droid kind of blows up, not blows up, but fizzes out and burns out. Uncle Luke catches them, gives them some kind of punishment. We don't know what it is. Tells Leia they did something, but don't worry, I took care of it. She went, yeah. I guess tell me later when I don't want to kill them. And it's great. There's a lot of good moments, like they're having a family dinner and Jaina gives an attitude, and so she gets sent up to her room, and then Jason decides he's not hungry anymore. He wants to go comfort Jaina, which always happens if one of them gets in trouble, the other one must be there. And then eventually Anakin asks to be excused too. And they say this happens frequently every night. I kind of like that. It feels like, you know, everyday living, which we don't get to see that much in the expanded universe. Now, when Luke was talking to Mon Mothma, she said, hey, Lando's going to ask you something, and I want you to say yes. What's Lando going to ask? To be his wingman while he goes out to find a sugar mama for all his expenses. Because, you know, he's building up this new town. He's made lots of riches. He's like, you know, but with even more funding, I can make even more money. So I'm just going to get married. What, you know, old decrepit lady wouldn't want, you know, this good-looking guy? And in return, I can make them rich based off their unlimited funds. And he circles about 3 or 5 or 10 people on the list, and they make a deal. You know, Luke whittles it down to say, I'll visit 5 people or 3. I can't remember what it was because they only go 3. They only mentioned 3. So maybe it was 5. But because he needs something to help his reputation, having a Jedi Master accompany him would make him look very respectful too. Now, they never mention why Mon Mothma is so happy that Luke is going with Lando. I don't know why that is. I mean, was Mon Mothma saying this is what you need to do to be an ambassador? This is training to be in politics? To arrange a marriage with Lando? I don't know. Well, I haven't read it all right now, but at this point, we're never told. But Mon Mothma's like, good, I see you chose to go with Lando. Good. Why? Was it just a joke for Lando and Mon Mothma? Say, hey, Lando told Mon Mothma, hey, tell him to come with me, please. I don't know. Or maybe Lando sweet talk Mon Mothma. Who knows? Either way, though, they're off to see suitors. And it's a really good storyline, again, with Lando. The first one he goes to turns out to be beautiful, drop-dead gorgeous, and he's going to get married right then and there to her, even though Luke senses something is wrong. Something is really wrong. Even though the woman is telling the truth, she's not hiding. She said, ask me anything. I'm not hiding. Look at my intention. I'm not trying to deceive you. Luke's like, yeah, you're not trying to be deceitful, but something is wrong. And what happens is 3PO finds out that she's a life witch. She will suck the remaining, you got 5 years to live if you're with her, but you can live rich and high off the hog and super healthy than you've ever been. Usually dying old people go to her. And so this is kind of a switch, and she keeps telling Lando, are you sure? Do you know all about me? And Lando's like, yeah, I did all my homework on you. Well, he didn't, because he didn't know. And right before the ceremony is finished, it's about to get sealing blood transfusion, 3PO pops right in and tells Lando, and that ends it right there. She goes, I've had 49 husbands, you'll be number 50. Like, she didn't say it evilly either. She's just like, yeah. And then the next chapter, they're off to look at another woman. When they go to visit the other woman, she has just got back from her honeymoon. So Lando came too late. So then he has to call the third person, which of course, Tendra, as we all know who that will be. When he finally gets to meet her, and I'm skipping through this first book here, but when he finally gets to meet her, they kind of like each other, but Corellia is kind of under lockdown, and they make Luke and Lando leave the planet. And at that point, right as they're about to leave Corellian space, there's an indictor field that covers the entire sector. So they're just right outside the sector, so they finally make it out to where they can, use their hyperdrive again and get back to Coruscant and warn everyone what's going on. Meanwhile, on Han and Leia's turn, their storyline, there's an NRI agent called Melinda. And Roger McBride Allen does a really hard job trying to make her interesting, like tells us what she's like, her mannerisms. And even though she's in it a lot, yeah, she's just kind of vanilla. You really don't get to care about her. There's nothing special about her. I mean, she wants Han to pretend to be suspicious so all eyes will be on him so she can figure out what's happening to all the NRI agents they're sending to Corellia because they keep disappearing without a trace. And so she's trying to figure that out. But really the only thing she does is watch Han and Leia's house from a little watch house from like a hawk, which Han eventually finds out and gives her some food and stuff to kind of help her along. But her purpose there is kind of muddled. Like, okay, was she supposed to find the NRI agents, or is she watching over Han and Leia? I don't get it. And I mean, again, I haven't read through them all, so maybe this is explained later on. I just don't know. But at first, she's not given that much of a personality for us to, even though she's given plenty of time, plenty of page time, we just don't know exactly what she's like as a character. And at this point, I don't really care for her at all. But it's not all bad because there are characters I do like. There's Ibrahim or whatever in Q9. Ibrahim's a drawl who Leia hires just for the place, just for the area to kind of give them tours and kind of tell them the history of Corellia. He's interested in doing it because she has some kind of diplomacy status that gets them into certain museums or architectural digs that he can't get to. So he wants to see stuff too. And he's a great character. Plus, his droid, Q9, is hilarious. These are awesome characters he created. Plenty of personality around them. And you instantly start liking them as you dip into them. Q9 is just already calling R2 outdated because he's so far ahead. But he and Ibrahim, I don't care how you pronounce his name, but anyway, both of them have this kind of sarcastic relationship back and forth. It's all really fun. Those are great characters. And of course, Thrak and Sal Solo, which, if you're reading this chronologically, we've already seen in A.C. Crispin's book, but it is a little weird because in this book, you feel like Han and Thraken have known each other for way longer and have shared more adventures together. Like, oh yeah, Thraken was never a good guy. The one time you met him, now I'm not coming down hard on A.C. Crispin's trilogy. She did a great job, and she put enough in there of Thrak and Sal Solo for it to kind of make sense. Okay, so you can kind of connect it all, but in the book, it feels like Thraken and Han had a lot more history. And I don't know, that just could be me. But so far, Ambush. It's Assault. Assault's the next one. Ambush on Corellia is pretty good. And I can't wait to review book 2 next time.